Hey, Bob Caron here with the Institute for Zen Leadership, coming from Climate Change Central. That's right, my house behind me, Climate Change Central, which is in the middle of Massachusetts. Not only in the middle of Massachusetts, but the middle of the square footage, middle of the sort of median price in Massachusetts, and where climate change seems to happen. So one of the things that's really challenging for me is that climate change is everywhere and in my actions. And Zen has taught me to look inside first. And if I take a look at my house and my actions, I'm standing right behind my truck, or my truck is standing right behind me, gets 13.8 miles to the gallon. Right there is where the oil man delivers the oil in my house, and I probably take down a good 750 to 1,000 gallons of oil per year to heat my house here in New England. Let's take a little gander in my shed, which could use to be washed. Oh, look at that. What do we have here? We have a gas-powered leaf blower, because God knows we can't rake these days. Snow blower, which is actually incredibly useful up here in New England in the wintertime. And then my ride-on tractor. All of these things suck up a lot of gas, and it's kind of hard to avoid them these days. I mean, what is a summer barbecue without a propane-fired grill? We have so much packaging coming in and out of our house every day for food, weekly Amazon deliveries, and so forth. This recycle bin here will absolutely be filled every single week to the brim, if not overfilled, just with packaging from our house alone. It's impossible to escape this. And we do our best to recycle. But boy, it really is depressing that you can't get some strawberries without a plastic container to be recycled afterwards. Here's our mailbox, completely overflowing with mail almost every day. Most of this is junk mail that I will rip up and recycle. I did not ask for any of this to come here, and it is honestly depressing how much mail we get on a daily basis that is just total trash. I think Zen has a lot to offer climate change and those who are out there advocating and supporting it. First and foremost, Zen always invites us to first look within, and then to see the interconnected nature of ourselves with our environment and all of the people around us. Essentially, climate change is within me, and I am the whole picture. Not only because I participate in the culture of consumption and consumerism that is almost unavoidable, but because I am also a person who sort of votes with my wallet, who makes decisions on a daily basis that impact a global chain of sellers and farmers and all of these folks that are all connected here at my home, feeding and providing things for my family. So I need to be more conscientious and more, I'd say, aware of my ownership over this issue. And we are. I gave up meat this summer. I eat probably more red meat than is worth a whole cow on an annual basis. So one cow is out there that isn't going to die because I stopped eating meat. That was mostly in response to the Amazon rainforest burning, and I just felt powerless and needed to grab something that I could do. And that was maybe one thing. In our house, we buy all recycled paper towels. We use only bamboo and sugarcane made toilet paper. We visit the recycle and reuse center weekly, not only to take things that are secondhand, but also to donate things rather than throwing them away. My children only wear secondhand clothes. We do all that we can to recycle and reuse. We pick up trash. We try to be conscious of this, but at the same time, it's almost like we're in this never-ending cycle of using things and throwing them away. My house is almost a transit station of things coming in and out, in and out. And frankly, I don't know what ends up in a dumpster or a landfill somewhere. I fill that recycling bin, but yet I know that China has stopped buying our recycling, and I don't know where our recycling is going. And so if I really want to be a climate change champion, then I need to first look at my choices and my behavior. And I think Zen offers us that in a really big way. There's also a level of empowerment there, which is to say that I have choice, I have power. I have agency over this thing right here at my home in Massachusetts. And I invite you to build that sense of self-awareness, build that sense of interconnectedness, build that sense of wholeness that Zen offers us so that we can all take action together and make a real difference.
Hi, I'm Andy Robbins, Zen leader who lives and works in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. I'm on the back of a Grab motorcycle, Grab taxi, going into work. In Vietnam, on a daily basis, there's 8 million motorcycles going into the city, all petrol fueled. That's why I'm wearing the mask, so I can at least keep some of the fumes from my lungs. It's also advisable to wear one if you're walking on the street. But as a Zen leader, what are we trying to do for sustainability around the world? My belief is that leaders need to be conscious. It's not until you're conscious you can actually look around you and see what's happening to the planet. Zen leadership is about conscious leadership. It's about being awake. And when you wake up and smell the coffee, that's the time that you'll start to make some changes. Vietnam is a developing nation, and pollution is not high on their agenda. Been swimming in the sea here in different coastal resorts, and the sea is full of plastics, continually attaching to your leg or arm. Fishing line, so just a constant nuisance if you're in the sea. You go to a coffee shop here to have a coffee, you'll come up with the cup goes into a plastic bag. The cup's got a plastic lid. The straw, every coffee here, because most of the coffee is cold, has a straw, plastic straw, and I have seen no evidence of recycling in Vietnam. People are still trying to find their way. They're trying to put enough money in their pockets to get food on the table. So the expensive sustainable options, not a choice. So hopefully by bringing Zen leadership to Vietnam and Asia, we will create some conscious leaders that can begin to make change.
Long ago, my Zen teachers told me the fundamental illness of humanity is duality. The older I get, the more painfully I understand that. Duality, if we think of mind and body, we can think of life and death. But in the context of talking about the climate crisis, the one that strikes me the strongest is self and other. The duality of that is that we live with an illusion that we can pick and choose what we are part of and what we are not. I'm part of the small farmers who live in this area. I'm part of the climate scientists who've devoted lives to doing the science that shows us so dramatically the situation we're in. I want to be part of the young activists who are focused on resolving the climate crisis. Those are people I want to be part of. And I don't want to be part of the people who keep advocating for the use of coal-fired electricity plants. The people who deride the science of climate change without attempting to understand the science of climate change. I'm separate from them. So you see already, I'm stuck. Some things I want to be part of, others I don't want to be part of. And the whole nature of Zen training is to assault that. You don't get to choose. So when we talk about the climate crisis, my starting point is, I am the crisis. I am the problem. If I don't enmesh myself in that fashion with all of it, I really should not be opening my mouth. I really should have no place in which to talk. So given this, what do I do? What do I do? The phrase that keeps coming back to me is connect, only connect, only connect. And as I've said, that can't just be with the things that I like. It has to be with all of it. And that can be hard. It's very hard. So my starting point is simply every day, any given setting, any given moment, any given encounter, whether it's an idea, whether it's a piece of paper, whether it's someone I see at the store, how do I connect? How do I connect? Because if I can't do it with the small things like that, I won't be doing it with the big things that really matter. Now, I want to talk about Zen training as opposed to Zen in this, as I address you. Zen training is the activity, the moment by moment of work that we do to resolve the dualities that plague humanity. In my lineage, it's very physical work. There's this attention moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step. How is my body in the field of gravity? How is the length of exhalation affected by all of it I am part of? So that same moment by moment encounter, engagement, physically, is what I'm doing with those around me. I don't engage with the so much the history of Zen or the principles of Zen or the beliefs of Zen or of all the different sects of Zen. Those are, to me, are abstractions that have nothing to bring to bear on this. What we need is to connect. We need to resolve the separateness between us and even the things that we fear, the things that we hate. That's the contribution I feel Zen training can offer the climate crisis.
What does Zen or Zen leadership have to offer the area of climate change? Well, first starting with Zen, it's a way to see through the ego, a way to have a very different sense of who we are, and that can have a radical difference in how we approach things like climate change, approaching it from a place of intrinsic connectedness to one another, to our planet. When people have that experience, it changes them. And then Zen leadership adds to that further resourcefulness, tools for how we can go from coping to making a difference, making change happen, being able to work with seemingly intractable paradoxes, being able to manage and work with energy, using the right energy at the right time, and being able to work with our whole integrated self, with the power of hara, the wholeheartedness of heart, and the wisdom of connectedness. How might a Zen leader face into climate change differently than any other kind of leader? And what am I doing from my place in the world? Well, those are actually related questions, because a Zen leader starts from I am that. And truly, this isn't something different than you are either. Zen leadership is a capacity in all of us to lead from our whole self, our true self, from a connected place for the sake of the whole. From that place, we take a look at ourself first. I am that. I'm this problem. I'm this solution. What do I need to do differently? I was part of a small and powerful group that came together in early July to look at this question. And each of us came away committed to calculating our own carbon footprint, figuring out what we could do to shrink it. I found in calculating mine that I'm quite a big carbon footprint, especially with all of my international travel for my work. And I have committed to cutting that in half in 2020, in consolidating my trips, in reducing my electrical consumption, and in looking at a more efficient way of bringing power to our house. My husband and I just looked into geothermal heating again this week, something we explored 15 years ago, but in a sense was almost before its time then. And now we're finding it's much more available and possible than before. That's where I'm starting. How can we help change agents and solution finders in the area of climate change? And what are we already doing? We can do something I think is very special and very important. We can build unshakable resilience. The resilience that comes from being one with, not separated, but connected. That comes through deep training with the mind, body as one. And that's what we do. We combine that with leadership training that then gives skills for how to bring that bigness out into the world. So yes, we can do a great deal to resource change agents. And we're already seeing these results from people who come through our programs. They come away describing the experience and themselves as feeling more whole, more able to be one with the people they counsel. This is what takes fear away in the world, when we ourselves can metabolize our fears and be fearless. Where we're not separated, fear has no room to grow. That's how we can resource change agents to do wonderful work.